what made Fairly Odd Parents great to me. Yes, this is a new series where I pick an old TV show that I used to watch as a kid and decide to talk about it for a couple of minutes with you guys. Yes, in today's video we are going to start with Fairly Odd Parents, but this series isn't over with that. As soon as I get done talking about Fairly Odd Parents, the day afterwards, I'm going to be going live with a couple of friends of mine to ask them what made the show great to them. With that said, guys, I hope you guys look forward to this series. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start with Fairly Odd Parents, shall we? Man, Fairly Odd Parents, let me tell you, this is kind of a blast from the past for me. I used to just love Fairly Odd Parents. I used to be crazy about the show. I actually am one of the few kids, I say few kids, there was like a couple million of us, I mean come on, it was Fairly Odd Parents, right? But I was one of the generation that got to see the show for the first time. I got to see the first episode when it first aired on Nickelodeon. At the time, it was actually just a test pilot. The pilot was a test pilot. We didn't even have the full series. They didn't announce it yet. They put out a couple of episodes of a couple different shows and said, "Hey kids, do you like these shows?" And if the ratings were popular, they made it into a full series. That's how a lot of shows used to get picked up back in the day. That's how SpongeBob used to get picked up back in the day, and a whole lot of other shows. But this one was one of them, and I really enjoyed Fairly Odd Parents as a kid growing up. Now, what I can say that really made the show great for me is just how fun the characters were. And what is the show about? The show really just, it's literally in the theme song. And that's another thing that I really kind of miss about the old shows back in the day. I mean, I still get that from like anime, but intros, man. I'm telling you what, a show is really good when it has a good intro, and not just a good intro, but a good song to go with the intro that pretty much just tells you what the show is about. And literally the intro, literally says in the intro, to me it's just an average kid that no one understands. Mom and Dad and Vicky are always bugging him. I mean, come on, that's not how the song goes. I'm just saying. And then you have Crocker. Oh, Crocker is one of my favorite characters of the series, and I really liked how over time they eventually gave Crocker a backstory. Crocker just ended up being a crazy, fairly odd person. He believes in fairies, and he believes Timmy Turner has fairies, and the whole reason why is because he used to have fairies as a kid. And I just like how connected the Fairly Odd Parent world is, even though technically it's not connected at all. I just like that. It's just so much fun. That's what made it fun, because yes, I enjoy stories like Avatar and Star Wars, where every single moment connects to another, and it adds a whole big narrative and picture. But just small stories like Fairly Odd Parents, just one episode that may not connect to anything at all, but it's just fun and crazy and enjoyable, it is great too. And something that I really enjoy about old TV shows, at least when I was a kid, was how, and I know it's weird, right? The quote, educational TV. Everyone hates that quote, right? But I'm being serious. I really enjoy the lessons that these old shows used to try to teach. And let me tell you, during the first couple of seasons of the show, I would go even as far as saying up to season 5. I know, I'm crazy. But back then, when the show was actually at its peak, I would say that one of the best parts of the show itself was the show just trying to give good lessons to kids watching it and entertain them. And something else that I really liked about it is it wasn't treating the kids like absolute idiots either. And it used to, at least at back then, it used to actually make you care for each character, and each of the characters cared for one another, and they weren't just stereotypes of themselves. Like Timmy Turner, you could say he was the stereotypical bored kid, but at least in the early stages, you could tell that he still cared about his parents. You could tell that he cared about his Fairly Odd Parents, how he cared for his friend, and over time, those traits just kind of went away as he became more and more arrogant, and I kind of don't like that, but they kind of did that because they needed to write more episodes of the show, and pretty soon it just runs the show into the ground. That's the biggest thing. You know, one of and a great example of this really is actually my boy Cosmos. I personally cannot stand what they turned Cosmos into. He used to start out as pretty much just a car salesman kind of guy. You could tell that he cared about his wife, but he was kind of smart, he was kind of an idiot. My perfect Cosmos is not the early stages of Cosmos, like don't get me wrong. The early episodes with Cosmos being slightly smart are entertaining and great. He's actually a bit more funnier that way. But like some of my favorite episodes when it comes to Cosmos is when he's right in the middle. He's not the smartest tool in the shed, but he's not inconsiderate. Like later on, he literally becomes inconsiderate, and I don't like him. But a great example for that, one of my favorite episodes is the Black and White episode where Cosmos and Timmy are trying to find Wanda, and the whole reason why it is because of how much Cosmos cares for Wanda, that he decides to actually make her disappear. That way, when he goes to Jordan and has to take some sort of fairy test, he ends up only being the only one in trouble because he doesn't want to bring Wanda down, and you can tell how much he cares about Wanda. I mean, and even with the episodes dealing with Cosmos's mother, those were just so much fun. That was probably my favorite time period, and it was around probably 2004, 2005, that was probably the best time for Cosmos because he was right in the middle. He wasn't the dumbest of the dumbest, but he wasn't the smartest of the smartest either. You could tell that it was just in that middle period or they turned him into something really stupid. As the show went on, he just became stupid, annoying, and he wasn't even funny anymore. And I hate the fact that they turned Cosmos into that. Because Cosmos used to be one of my favorite characters of the show. I think Crocker is actually my favorite character of the show, to be honest with you. Every time there's a Crocker episode, it's just fun, it's hilarious. We get to learn a little bit more of what Crocker deal is with fairies. It was just so much fun back in the day, and I remember coming home and sitting back and watching the show, and I was so excited for the new episodes of Fairly Odd Parents. And it's crazy because shows back then used to be what? 10, 15 minutes? That's right. Actually, no, there were 11-minute episodes because then you had all of the commercials, so literally a 22-minute slot or a half-hour slot was really a 22-minute slot, and then it had a bunch of commercials. But I enjoyed so much of those 11 episodes of my boy Timmy dealing with his parents. And something that I really liked about the show itself is, you know, he has fairly godparents, and he can wish for anything and he wants. And I really liked how every time he did wish for something, or just about every time he wished for something, the whole show itself was really about teaching Timmy, as well as the audience, us, about how wishes can not really go the way you think it would. I mean, yeah, it would be cool if this and that happened, but if it did, what would happen? And what are the repercussions of your wishes? That's something that Amy Turner, as well as the audience, used to learn. I really liked growing up and learning those lessons alongside Timmy Turner. I think that is one of the best things about the show. And I wish that show never lost its magic. Now that's hilarious because it's Fairly Odd Parents. It's all about magic. But the show eventually did lose its magic. And that, I really feel like, the show was at its peak during the episodes of, like one of my favorite episodes that just comes to mind every time I think about Fairly Odd Parents, when I think about the lessons that this show used to teach, is one of my favorite episodes is that episode where Timmy actually is dealing with his zombie pet. He finds out that, every time he goes to summer camp, one of his pets died. And he had a hamster and it died, and so he wishes it back, and he's so happy to have it back from the dead. And because he was such a bad owner, the hamster wants to gain its revenge. And eventually he learns that if he's going to have a pet, he's going to have to treat it right and be a better pet owner. And I literally took that lesson as heart. I literally took that lesson to heart, because that's how I feel. I feel like if I'm going to have a pet, whether it's a fish, a cat, a dog, I really feel like if I'm going to have a pet, I want to take care of it properly. And I don't want to just be another Timmy Turner. That's one of the episodes that taught me the most, I feel like. And there's so many more episodes of Fairly Odd Parents that were like that. But that one is my personal favorite episode. With that said, can I just talk about how good the movies were for a second? We had the Magic Muffin, we had the time and space chasers. When Timmy Turner's just going into the TV, he's being a Flintstones type of area. That's something that was also really, really cool back in the day. Is that yes, Fairly Odd Parents had a certain animation, but like during like that huge, like I want to say 1 hour, 2 hour movie, we have Timmy Turner going into the TV, and as he flips through the channels, literally that's what's called channel chasers. As he flips through the channels, the art style kind of changes, and it was just so much fun and so different. And it made me like animation so much. That Fairly Odd Parents is one of the best for that, I actually feel. And speaking of which, can I just talk about Jimmy Timmy Power Hour for a second? Jimmy Timmy Power Hour was fantastic, and I really wish they did more shows like this, right? Because here we have Jimmy, and his art style is just so bizarre and so different and so interesting to look at. And it was completely different from Fairly Odd Parents. Now have Jimmy and have Timmy flip into other universes and make a couple of specials out of it. It was so fun, it was so cool, and I really wish that we got to see Timmy like go into the world of a SpongeBob or Danny Phantom or something like that, or heck, I don't know how it would work, but Avatar. I thought it would be so cool if they did that and they never really continued that path. I thought the Jimmy Timmy Power Hour was one of the best things of the show. Now, if I continue on with the show, you know what, I have to admit this, I really did like the episodes with Timmy and dealing with the big one. It had that whole thing of him. It's almost like a Star Wars parody, almost, with him being the chosen one. And I thought those episodes were great. Those specials were great. But the show to me really ended with poof. No, seriously, the stupid fairy baby episode. I mean, I liked Poof, but really this is when the show shifted into a phase that I couldn't watch anymore. And I have seen some of the episodes after Poof was born, and the show just kept getting boring, and I didn't like it. Plus, now we're starting to repeat lessons that I didn't like as well. I liked the lessons, but now the concepts in those lessons are just being repeated because they're running out of ideas. And by that point, I really wish the show ended there, but it didn't. As soon as they brought in Sparky, Poof was enough. As soon as they brought in Sparky, I was done. A Fairly Odd Dog would have been interesting because, we have that whole thing with Timmy Turner trying to learn to be a better pet owner and stuff like that. But the thing is, we already had an episode like that. We had Timmy Turner learning that with the hamster. We didn't need a dog. And the reason why they brought the dog in the first place was because they just wanted something new. And guess what? It just didn't work. Poof wasn't working. Sparky definitely didn't work, and I was done when they brought Sparky in. I watched that episode. I was excited for it. I thought, okay, new Fairly Odd Parents episode. This could be great. Sparky ruined Fairly Odd Parents for me. I was done. After that, I didn't even see the episodes with the girl where Timmy Turner apparently has to share his Fairly Odd Parents with a girl. I think it's ridiculous. By the way, whatever happened to Vicky's sister who used to like her? The future of Timmy Turner to me will always be at the end of Chasers when he's married to I think her name is Tui, and they have a couple kids, and then the kids have Goldfish, which are obviously the Fairly Odd Parents. That's how the show should have ended to me. That's how I picture the show ending. Don't even get me started on the live action stuff. And I know that the show is continuing with the new version of Fairly Odd Parents live action, and I don't want any part of it. What made the show great to me as a kid was honestly the lessons that it taught. The characters were fun, and the show was enjoyable. Not to mention the art style and the intro song. It was all great. That's what made the show great to me. And I wish that Fairly Odd Parents never lost that magic. That's why I really feel like this is something that creators of shows need to take away. You don't want to end the show at the bottom of the bottom. When the show is at its peak, that's when you should end it. Because you always want, and this is something I learned from Star Wars and a whole bunch of other series, you always want to leave the audience satisfied with what they got, but always wanting more, right? And the show, honestly, it just went on way too long, I feel like. It should have ended with Baby Poof. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know down in the comments below your thoughts on the series of Fairly Odd Parents. And don't forget that tomorrow I'm going to be going live with a couple friends of mine to ask them what they thought of Fairly Odd Parents. As well as I also have a poll up right now. You guys can go to my community page right now on YouTube and vote for which show we talk about next in my series, What Made It Great. Thank you guys for watching, and I am out for now. Bye.
Subscribe to Dylan's Little Hobbies right now.